At the beginning of the story, we see an old temple filled with numerous Buddha statues placed all around the hall. The place looks peaceful at first, but suddenly someone enters the temple and begins smashing the statues one by one. In that person's hand is a strange doll that keeps violently shaking, almost as if a trapped spirit is struggling inside it. Then the scene reveals something unexpected. The one destroying the statues is actually a small girl. While holding the doll, she calmly says that no matter where someone tries to hide, even if they are sealed away somewhere, she will eventually find them. After that, the story shifts to a university in Japan. A new student has just enrolled, and his name is Kitaro. After finishing his introduction speech, he walks outside where he meets a cheerful girl named Aiko. She excitedly asks to take a photo with him, and the two pose together. But the moment the picture is taken, something strange happens. The photo suddenly gets distorted and ruined by a mysterious curse. Kitaro immediately becomes frustrated and worried. He apologizes to Aiko and says that it seems he cursed her as well. Aiko quickly reassures him that it is not his fault because she was the one who insisted on taking the picture. Kitaro then explains something unsettling. Whenever someone takes a photo with him, the same strange curse always appears. After this, we learn more about his past. Kitaro always wears a glove on one of his hands. Back in high school, a spirit placed a curse on him, and since then he has been forced to keep that hand covered. Even worse, spirits are naturally drawn toward him. They gather around him wherever he goes. Because of that, even the people close to him can end up getting cursed. Due to this terrifying situation, Kitaro spent 2 entire years locked inside his room, avoiding the outside world. But Aiko and her family eventually encouraged him to step outside again and start living a normal life. To help him move forward, Aiko even found him a small job. After hearing about it, Kitaro goes to the location she mentioned. It turns out to be a private tutoring center. There, a staff member tells him that his job will be to tutor a young girl named Yayoi. Kitaro immediately gets nervous because he has barely spoken to anyone for years. In the next scene, we see the same mysterious little girl from the beginning of the story. She walks into a dark room while holding a candle. Inside the room are many cursed dolls arranged all around her. She quietly whispers for something to come out. The following morning, Kitaro arrives at the house where he is supposed to tutor Yayoi. But when he looks at the house carefully, he realizes something surprising. This house actually belongs to his friend Aiko. When he rings the doorbell, Aiko opens the door and asks why he is there. Kitaro explains that he came to tutor a young girl. As soon as Aiko hears this, she becomes excited and tells him that Yayoi is actually her cousin. Once they go inside, Kitaro finally meets Yayoi, but the moment he sees her, he is completely shocked. He asks Aiko what kind of child she is taking care of. Yayoi calmly points at Kitaro's gloved hand and says that there is a terrifying spirit attached to it. Hearing this instantly shocks Kitaro, because that means Yayoi can see spirits just like him. Then he notices the doll in Yayoi's hands. Inside that doll, there is also a spirit trapped within it. Kitaro immediately tells her to throw it away, but instead, Yayoi grabs the doll by the neck and apologizes to it, saying it should not scare people like that. Seeing all of this terrifies Kitaro even more. But then he remembers how much Aiko helped him rebuild his life. Because of that, he decides to accept the job and tells Yayoi that from now on, he will be her tutor. Later on, Aiko and Yayoi take Kitaro somewhere in a car. They say that now that he is here, he should be able to easily deal with a ghost. Kitaro immediately gets angry and says he has no idea how to exorcise ghosts. He is not some kind of spiritual priest. Soon they arrive in front of an old telephone booth. Aiko explains that this place is heavily cursed. Long ago, a girl used to accept expensive gifts from many different lovers. Eventually, those same men became jealous and murdered her right near this phone booth. Since that day, the place has been haunted. Anyone who tries to enter the booth or use the phone ends up being killed by her spirit. Hearing this makes Kitaro extremely nervous, but suddenly Yayoi casually walks inside the phone booth. Kitaro quickly runs in and pulls her out. He asks if she is okay because he cannot see any ghosts inside. However, Kitaro can still sense a strong presence nearby. To test it, he steps inside the booth and tries making a phone call. But from the receiver, he begins hearing strange and disturbing voices telling him to hurry. Suddenly, the entire phone booth begins filling with blood. Yayoi immediately pulls Kitaro out and throws her doll inside the booth. The ghost violently tears the doll apart. Kitaro and Aiko are completely horrified, and the three of them quickly run away. Later, they return home where Kitaro begins tutoring Yayoi. During their conversation, he asks if she can truly see spirits. Yayoi calmly replies that she can not only see them, but she can also capture them. Aiko then explains something about Yayoi's past. Several years ago, Yayoi's parents died in a tragic accident. Since then, she has been living with Aiko. Yayoi likes visiting haunted places because she hopes that one day she will find the spirits of her parents again. Then we see a flashback. Yayoi is happily traveling with her parents when suddenly their car gets into a terrible accident. Yayoi survives, but her parents die. After the accident, her intelligence increased dramatically, and she gained the ability to see spirits. During that moment, she witnessed a sinister spirit dragging her mother's soul away. Since then, she has occasionally seen her father's spirit, but she has never seen her mother again. That is why she constantly searches haunted locations. Later, the group returns to the cursed phone booth again, but Keitaro is still completely terrified. He even carries a Buddha statue that is supposed to protect him from evil spirits. Suddenly, his cursed hand drags him toward the phone booth on its own. The ghost appears and begins choking him. The Buddha statue falls from his hand, and Keitaro panics, thinking it is not working. But Yayoi realizes that the statue is actually working. The problem is that the spirit itself is extremely powerful. Without hesitation, Yayoi pulls out 2 tools from behind her waist and leaps into the air. She declares that if the spirit wants violence, then she will answer with violence. Using the Buddha statue as a weapon, she launches a powerful attack that completely destroys the ghost. The phone begins ringing loudly with a horrifying scream coming from inside. Yayoi then cuts the wire, finally ending the spirit's influence. Afterward, she walks up to Keitaro and calmly tells him that he does not need to be afraid. No matter how strong the spirits are, she will always be there to help him. As they head back home, Keitaro suddenly senses that same spirit again. The reason is simple. The phone from the booth is now in Yayoi's possession. Back at home, Keitaro feels deeply unsettled and confused about everything that happened. Aiko then tells him something strange. While he was on the phone earlier, he suddenly made a very sinister smile. Keitaro is shocked because he does not remember doing that at all. He realizes that the more he tries to escape the supernatural world, the deeper he keeps getting pulled into it. Then he asks Yayoi if they will have to go back to that phone booth again. Yayoi calmly answers that they will not need to return because there is nothing left there anymore. However, in Yayoi's room, the captured telephone spirit is now trapped among many other spirits, and those spirits have begun torturing it. Meanwhile, Yayoi starts telling Keitaro about something mysterious known as kodoku. Keitaro is stunned after hearing the word kodoku. Confused, he asks what it actually means. Yayoi calmly explains it to him. Kodoku is an ancient ritual where many poisonous insects are locked inside a jar together. The insects fight, torture, and kill each other until only one survivor remains. That final survivor becomes something extremely dangerous, something that can then be used to torment others. By this point, Keitaro is already terrified, so he nervously tells Yayoi that if she ever needs anything, she can always ask him. Later, while walking alone, Keitaro cannot stop thinking about everything that has been happening. He had finally managed to return to a somewhat normal life after years of isolation. Yet somehow he has once again been dragged back into the world of spirits and curses. When he arrives at Aiko's house, Yayoi opens the door. The moment Keitaro notices the doll in her hand, his fear instantly spikes again. As the 3 of them sit together talking, Yayoi suddenly announces that they need to visit another haunted location. Keitaro immediately refuses. He tries to make an excuse, explaining that because of the curse placed on him by a spirit long ago, he constantly needs to visit places for treatment. Because of that, he claims he cannot go with them. But in the very next moment, the 3 of them are already sitting together in the car. It becomes obvious that Aiko and Yayoi somehow convinced him to come along anyway. Keitaro's condition looks miserable because he knows he has once again been dragged into something dangerous. He cannot understand why Aiko always supports Yayoi's strange plans. Yayoi asks him whether he really needs to go through treatment repeatedly for his curse. Keitaro admits that he does. Then, Aiko reveals something surprising. The temple they are heading to today is actually run by Keitaro's grandmother. Soon the group arrives at the temple, joking and chatting along the way. But the moment Keitaro's grandmother sees Yayoi, she immediately becomes furious. She angrily asks why they brought that girl here and calls her extremely dangerous. She even orders them to take Yayoi away from the temple immediately. Then she reveals the reason for her anger. Yayoi is the same girl who previously destroyed several Buddha statues inside the temple. Yayoi calmly corrects her and says it was not 5 statues, it was 7. That only makes the grandmother even angrier. Keitaro quickly steps in and tries to calm her down. After a moment, she finally relaxes a little and decides to let the matter go, though she warns Yayoi to behave herself. Then she tells Keitaro to come with her because it is time for his curse treatment. Inside a separate room, Keitaro's grandmother and another person begin performing a ritual exercise on his cursed hand. She explains that if he eats well and keeps his body strong through exercise, evil spirits will have a harder time controlling him. Kitaro quietly thinks to himself that if his grandmother had not been there to help him all this time, he might never have been able to live a normal life again. Meanwhile, Yayoi tries to peek inside the room where the ritual is happening, but Aiko stops her. Instead, Aiko shows her a photograph of Kitaro's cursed hand. The picture reveals strange white vein-like marks spreading across his hand in a disturbing pattern. Inside the room, Kitaro's grandmother uses a divine sword to cut away those abnormal veins one by one.